Hello and welcome to AC Always Connected, How to Make Meaningful Connections in a Virtual World. My name is Michelle and I'm the Events Officer for the AC Hub within Student Support Services. And today we are joined by Jessica Andrews from the Employment Support Center. So for those of you who don't know, AC Always Connected is an online event series that keeps our entire college community connected. So before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. We ask that you please keep your microphone on mute throughout the presentation. However, we'd like to encourage you to turn your camera on for some face-to-face time. And along the bottom of your screen, you'll see a button called Chat. When you select this option, a pop-up window will appear on the right-hand side of your screen. So throughout Jessica's presentation, we need to ask questions there, and then you can just type it out, and then I'll read it out for you. Now, to kick off today's event, we would like everyone to please open the chat tab along the bottom. And then I'm going to ask a question, but don't press send until I ask the question. It is, how do you virtually stay connected to your community? So think, how do you virtually stay connected in your community? This could be like with your friends or with your colleagues. And then everyone type your answer, but I'll count down from 3, and then I'll press send. So okay, now I'll count. So 3, 2, 1, go. Awesome, perfect, thank you. Yeah, definitely social media. That's great. FaceTime, is huge. Awesome, thanks for sharing. Continue to use this chat. If you just even want to introduce yourself, and then if you have any questions, please just hit there. So now I would like to welcome Jessica from the Employment Support Center to share her expertise on networking. Jessica?
Hey, thank you for the introduction, Michelle. I'm Jessica Andrews, and I am an employment officer at the Employment Support Center. And today, obviously, we're going to talk about job searching, specifically networking, and how to create meaningful, genuine connections with others in the virtual world that we live in right now. So before I get into it, I just want to quickly explain what the Employment Support Center is for those of you who don't know. We do offer one-on-one appointments for students and grads. We do resume and cover letter reviews, mock interviews. We do job search strategizing, LinkedIn profiles, and you can book a virtual appointment or Zoom appointment through the Welcome Center, and that's how you connect with them right there. And then we also have a number of digital tools on our website. So Hire AC, which is our exclusive job board for students and graduates, the AC Career Platform, which has a number of modules on career readiness topics, and then Interview Stream, which is a video-based tool where you can actually record yourself doing interviews and assess your own body language, how many times you say the word and just try to keep improving your interview skills. So for today, we're focusing on networking. I split up the workshop into 3 sections. So first, we're just going to talk about networking and try to break down the concept to make it seem less scary. Then we're going to talk about different ways to network, so different methods that you can connect with others virtually. And then we're going to end with like actual skills of networking, so how to make those relationships with other people. So let's start with networking and what it actually means. And before we get into this, I actually want to know what you guys think the purpose of networking is. So we're going to do a really quick poll. If Michelle could pop on the screen. Okay.
Is everyone able to see the results?
No, not yet, I don't think.
Okay. So it looks like we have 10 out of 14 who have answered the polls. 11 out of 14. Just give it another minute. Okay, Jessica, I'll share the answers.
Sure, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so everybody clicked the right one at the bottom. But the first three are actually myths, and we're going to talk about that shortly. But yeah, the real main purpose of networking is to build meaningful and mutually beneficial relationships with other people. Thank you guys for participating. Okay, so let's keep going here. Okay, so the definition of networking is the simple act of exchanging information specifically for the purpose of cultivating productive, organic, and lasting relationships, or basically, in plain English, building meaningful connections with others that are mutually beneficial. Or even simpler, it's literally just making friends with people. And I do want to note, though, that networking isn't a quick fix. It doesn't lead to jobs overnight, but is more of a long-term strategy that over time can result in lots of different opportunities throughout your career. So some of the myths about networking. First of all, networking isn't actually talking to as many people as possible. The focus here is actually on quality over quantity. So making genuine connections with people rather than trying to see how many people you can talk to and then not really connecting with anybody. So quality over quantity. You don't actually just speak with CEOs. You don't have to find like the top manager at a company and try to network with them. Networking is for literally like anybody you can connect with. It doesn't even have to be in your industry. It's anybody that could potentially know about opportunities in like your field, and they might not even be working in your field and they would know about them. So don't just like focus in on CEOs, it's everybody. Networking isn't selfish and it's not about yourself. Or it partially is. Usually for networking, there is the give and take. So you're going to get some benefit out of it, but they're also trying to think of ways that you could benefit the person that you're networking with. So it's mutually beneficial. Networking isn't schmoozing, so it's not trying to suck up to anybody. It's not being super suave. It's just about being yourself and trying to make like an honest connection with somebody else. Networking is not just for extroverts. So even though extroverts are sort of known for being people that enjoy like socializing and being around lots of other people, both introverts and extroverts find networking anxiety provoking, but both of them can make meaningful connections with people and be successful in networking. Networking is not only done in face-to-face. So we're going to talk about different ways to connect with people, but especially right now, we obviously can't be in person, but doing video format, doing emails, doing phone calls, connecting through social media. So there's lots of different ways that you can network and connect with people. And then, like I mentioned earlier, networking does not guarantee immediate results, but over time can lead to lots of great opportunities. So like I mentioned earlier, networking isn't just specifically in your industry or just with CEOs. The most successful networks include relationships across different facets in your life. So it can be from your education, so maybe your faculty or professors, program coordinators, your peers in your classes. It can be from previous work experience, so your coworkers, previous supervisors and managers, or it could be your family friends, your friends that you're connected with, or even people in the community. So if you're a part of any clubs, sports teams, religious groups, all those people could potentially lead you to an opportunity that will positively impact your career development. So those of you who aren't sold yet on networking, here are some of the really great benefits to participating in this somewhat scary activity. First and foremost, it allows you to access the hidden job market, which is any position that isn't posted online. And you'll see at the bottom here, I found a statistic from payscale.com that indicates that some people estimate that over 80% of new jobs aren't listed online. So 80%, that's like a huge number of jobs that if you're just looking on Indeed, you're not gonna find out about. So networking is a really important tool to use. But it also has a lot of other benefits. So widening your industry knowledge. When you connect with others in your field, you're going to learn about other practices, other ways of doing things, and you can exchange those ideas or learn from other people's experiences and perspectives. You could potentially build future partnerships. So if you are working on similar projects or you come up with ideas together, maybe you could work on a project together. You could learn things from experts who've had more experience than you, or gain a mentor who could potentially support you through your career journey. It helps you to increase your visibility. So the more you're out there, the more likely you're going to hear about things or have a visibility to recruiters or people who are looking for people. And then it, of course, builds your self-confidence, just knowing that you're doing everything you can to put yourself out there and work on your networking and on your career journey. And then finally, it allows you to give back to others. And that's always a warm, fuzzy feeling when you can help or advise somebody else how to be successful in their journey. Okay, so now we're going to talk about different ways to connect with others virtually. And I have another poll for you guys. So I'm curious to know how many of you have an active LinkedIn profile. So you're actively using it.
Okay, we have 9 out of 15. Just give it a couple more seconds.
Okay, so we got a good mix. Some people have it and are actively using it. That's amazing. Some of you don't have one, so I'm going to try to persuade you to get one. And then for those of you that have one that aren't using it, same thing. I'm going to try to persuade you to be more active on it because it's going to really help you in your career development. Okay, and that's first thing I'm talking about. Whenever we think about tools to use to connect with people virtually, LinkedIn is such a great tool to do this. First, obviously, you want to make sure that your profile's filled out. So for those of you who don't have one, make sure that you add in all the details, all the sections are filled out before you start using it in your networking or in your job search. But once it's all done, there's so many different ways that you can connect with people on LinkedIn. So first you can join groups. So engaging with other people that have similar interests to you, be it maybe there's a group that's for your program at the college, maybe joining the actual alumni page, joining groups that are specific to your industry. But those are a great way to meet new people, or just connecting with people directly. So if there's somebody in your industry, in a company you're interested in, you can send them a custom message to connect. And make sure you do that. Don't just send them an invite. Try to explain why you want to connect with them or how you guys can connect, be it that you're in the same industry or you have similar experience. But this is a great way to find people in your field. Or just engaging with others that are already in your network. So you can increase your visibility to others by continually updating your status, updating your profile, or adding new information. You can share articles that are relevant to your field, or if you're super motivated, you can make your own content and share it, or you could comment or react to other people's posts. So the more you use it, the more visible you are in other people's news feeds, and in your own network, and then also in the feeds of recruiters or people that are actively looking for new hires on LinkedIn. So using it a lot is like, the more you use it, the more you're going to get out of it. And I do have a small plug on the bottom there. We do have a department page for the Employment Support Center, and we post like up-to-date resources, workshops, and events that are coming up. So I would suggest following us as well. And then LinkedIn is also a great way to find people to do information interviews with. And for those of you who don't know what an information interview is, it's essentially the opportunity for you to find somebody in your industry, in a organization or position that you're interested in, and ask them questions about their job, about the company. You can kind of get the inside scoop on a position or a company that won't necessarily be posted on the website. So things like what their career journey looked like, what education did they take, what experiences did they take to get them where they are today, if they have any tips related to how to apply to that position, how to apply to that company, maybe things to include on the resume or things to mention in an interview. They might also share industry resources, or they might know about other openings in other companies. So it's a great way to gather information to help you with your career decision. And also it's a new contact that, again, could potentially lead to opportunities down the road. Events are also a great way to connect with people. And as we've gone through the pandemic, more and more companies are getting more comfortable with the idea of using like technology, using Zoom, virtual platforms to do regular recruiting events. So career fairs and job fairs, where you have multiple different employers at once, employer information sessions, where one employer will present on their organization and then do like open Q&A, recruiting, networking session at the end. And then just like full-blown networking events where the purpose is just to connect and meet with new people. And again, we do post any upcoming events, whether they're on campus or off campus, on our events calendar on HireAC. And we've already held a few employer sessions this summer where employers are still actively looking to hire and network with people. And then just in terms of networking at events, there are a lot of things that you should do beforehand to prepare yourself so that you can be as successful as possible in these situations. So being well researched on the employers that are attending. So if there's multiple people, knowing what that business does, what their goals are, trying to find out how you can fit best into that company so that when they ask you about it, you have a very confident answer. Also trying to set up a goal for yourself. So if there's multiple people you want to talk to, maybe planning out how you're going to do this, the time frame you need to be there. Making sure that you're presenting yourself professionally. So even if you're on a Zoom call or in a virtual chat room, it's still important that you're dressing professionally to make a good impression on the employer. Practicing your pitch. So I'm going to talk about this in the next section, but having a sort of summary about yourself and what you can offer prepared beforehand so that you know exactly what you want to say whenever you get a chance to talk to an employer. And then also having some like really engaging open-ended questions prepared beforehand as well, so that after you deliver your pitch, you can follow it up with more questions to get to know the employer more and build that relationship. And then finally, making sure that you secure the contact information of the people at the event so that you can follow up and continue that conversation and continue to build that relationship. So I've talked a lot about like professional events or professional ways to connect with people in industry. But like I mentioned at the beginning, your network is so much bigger than that. It is in all areas of your life. And so it's good to connect in different areas as well as professionally. So connecting on social group platforms. So Meetup is a great one. Eventbrite has lots of events that are going on. Facebook has lots of different groups to join. going to clubs. So Algonquin College has a huge list of clubs and communities that students are all a part of. So checking that out and seeing if there's anything that you're interested in where you could meet other people who have similar interests, or getting involved in community organizations. So maybe the local library has a virtual book club, or if you really enjoy fitness, maybe attending an online fitness class. So there's still ways to connect with people in social groups in a virtual way. And then my last suggestion would be to volunteer. So volunteering is such a great way to connect with people, to meet people that have similar interests than you, or on projects or initiatives that are similar or that are important to you. Plus, volunteering has the added benefit of allowing you to build your skills, to enhance your resume, and to actually identify areas of interest within your field. So if you're in a program that has so many different career avenues, testing out different ones by volunteering is going to allow you to better understand what you're interested in, what you enjoy doing, and will help you in your career development. And we do have a volunteer database through our volunteer center, where employers or organizations are posting types of positions that you could potentially volunteer for. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. And then my last section, so networking skills. So we're gonna actually talk about how to build these meaningful relationships with other people. And just like the other sections, I have a poll for you guys. And this one is, what television series have you recently binged? I want to know.
What's the Umbrella Academy?
I think it's like a superhero TV show. I haven't watched it, but it's like #1 on Netflix right now. So.
Oh, okay. I should binge that one. Okay, we have 13 out of 17.
Okay. Okay, so The Office is pretty popular. Same with Game of Thrones. Bachelor, nobody watches Bachelor. That's cool. I don't watch it either. Some of you don't watch TV, which is interesting. So the point of me doing this poll was just to show you, even if you don't have the same interest as somebody, or if you do, there's simple ways just to connect with people to get the conversation started, to then start building that relationship with other people. So the people that don't watch TV and now want to know what you do with your spare time, and then people who like Game of Thrones, I'm obviously going to gush about all things Game of Thrones with you. Oops. Okay. So the first step of making meaningful connections with people is actually to get to know yourself better. So have a better understanding of what your skills are, what your strengths are, if there's any unique gifts, talents that you can bring to the table, if you have any experience or achievements, what are your interests, what do you like, what do you dislike, what are your goals? So having a really strong understanding of all these things is going to help you know, A, how to sell those to an employer, and B, how to contribute to the success or career development of others. So finding out how you can support other people. And I mentioned the elevator pitch before, or personal pitch, but essentially after you've done this sort of inventory of all of the skills and things you have to contribute, you want to be able to summarize it in a clear and precise way that relates to the person you're talking to, or that is relevant to the employer or the industry that you're trying to get into. So we sort of have a formula for how to create it. Typically, you would start off saying what you're doing now. So either you're a student or you're a graduate from a program at Algonquin College. Then you can highlight some of your strengths or your experience. So maybe you have a really strong background in customer service, where you've learned really strong communication skills or teamwork skills, or maybe you want to highlight some of the skills that you gained in your program. And then you make that connection to the person you're talking to. So link the skills to the type of like goal you have or that what you're trying to get into. And then finally, I've said this before, but like always end with the next steps. So mention your desire to connect on LinkedIn, maybe on another Zoom call, an email, but just always find a way to keep the conversation going to continue to build that relationship. Oh yeah, and remember to practice. So it can be really awkward sometimes talking about ourselves or just like knowing what information to share about ourselves. So the more that you practice, the more easy and natural it's going to sound. Because the worst thing that could happen is you don't want to sound like a robot that is just like memorized like a couple sentences to say. Like you want it to sound natural and engaging. So practice makes perfect. And then going along with the concept of knowing yourself, once you really know all those things about yourself, it's also being true to yourself. So being authentic, being okay with yourself, embracing your quirks, embracing your flaws, and being open with people. So being honest about things that you like or dislike, being okay to say your opinions, even if they're different from other people's. Because typically whenever you say something different, it tends to add more value to the conversation. So you can like hash out things, you can like learn new things from other people, or people can learn from you. So being yourself is really, really important here. It's gonna help you build that genuine connection with somebody else. Being present is also super important. So when I say being present, I mean like giving all of your attention to the person that you're talking to. So not like thinking about what other people are here, not thinking about like the huge to-do list in your mind that you have to do after this event or after this conversation, just like focusing on what they're saying without any distractions, or active listening. And so to further that, whenever you're actively listening to somebody, you are maintaining eye contact with them. You're paraphrasing what they're saying, so repeating back some of the key things. They know that you understand what they're saying. You nod along, you lean forward into the conversation, and then you ask thoughtful questions that build on what that person is saying. So a lot of times in conversation, we're just thinking about like what we want to say next, and waiting for that person to stop talking so you can say what you want to say. But if you're active listening, you're not thinking about what you can say next. You're just thinking about what that person is saying. And then whenever you do contribute something, it's meaningful and adds to what that person was talking about. And whenever you do that, it helps to build rapport, because that person feels like you understand them, that you are interested in them, and that they can trust you. They can trust that you are like wanting to talk to them. So I mentioned a couple of these things, but another thing to pay attention to is actually your body language. So how you're communicating with the person. So typically, naturally, whenever you're having a really deep or engaging conversation with somebody, you tend to mirror the body language of the person you're talking to. So these are some of the examples. The first one is fronting. So ideally, whenever you're having a conversation with somebody, your body is going to be squarely across from the person you're talking to. Because I don't know about you, but if you've ever been in a conversation where somebody like their foot's kind of going the other way, it doesn't feel like they're listening or they care, like they're already planning to leave. Having your body facing them shows like you're the person I'm talking to. I want to like get to know you. Eye contact, super important. Like I mentioned earlier, it demonstrates interest and that you like care about what they're saying. Nodding along to what they're saying encourages them to keep speaking. And then matching the vocal tone and the pace. So if somebody's talking quietly to you, then you're not going to like shout out at them. You're going to kind of speak in the same tone. Same with the pace or the animation of their voice. Usually you'll like kind of mimic things that they say or do to make them feel comfortable. But if you aren't there yet in that level of conversation, sometimes starting the process of mirroring ahead of time will help you focus in on the person, which is the whole point of the conversation, and start to make that conversation go deeper because you're already like in connection with that person. So mirroring is a good idea to help make that conversation keep going. So in terms of conversation, I have some do's and don'ts. So for the do's, listening more than you talk. So I really highlighted active listening. Ideally, like this conversation is about them. It's about getting to know them. So you want to ask lots of questions and spend a lot of time listening to them instead of talking at them. Listen more than you talk. I talk a lot about preparation. So doing your research, like you could research them, you could research things that are going on right now or things that they might be interested in, but having some topics ahead of time is always helpful. Finding common interests. So whether it's the latest Netflix series, whether it's like sports team, whether it's anything that you might have in common with that person, finding that connection is always important. Recognizing others. So if there's something, like if they're wearing like a cool hat, like compliment them on it. Or if you recognize that they're saying or do something that you appreciate, like tell them that you appreciate that. That helps to build rapport with somebody. Being open-minded. So this can take many facets, but whenever somebody tells you something, trying not to be judgmental, trying to see things from their perspective, or being open to different ideas that are different from your own. And then that kind of goes in with patience as well, is sometimes you're going to meet somebody and you're not going to connect right away, but it doesn't mean that with patience over time, you won't find something to connect over or you won't find common interests. So sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's instant, sometimes it takes longer. So just having that patience. For the don't list, I did mention active listening. So the opposite of that would be interrupting constantly. So try not to interrupt them. Try not to one up. So if somebody tells a story and then you try to tell them a story that's even better, like try not to do that. Again, we're trying to focus on the other person. What we're sharing. So if you just met somebody, it's probably not the best time to share your deepest, darkest secrets. You have to kind of build that relationship first. Try to avoid being negative or gossiping about others. We try to be as positive as possible. Judgmental, so the opposite of open-minded. Try not to judge what they're saying, try to keep an open mind. And then try not to rush the conversation. So don't be like looking for a way out. Try to like stay in the conversation, stay present, and realize that sometimes it's gonna take longer than one conversation to build that relationship. So patience. And then finally, so like I said at the beginning, networking is about building mutually beneficial relationships. So it's not just what you can get out of it, it's how you can also add value to that person. So consider all the knowledge you have, the skills, the connections that you have, and try to find ways to use those to help this person. So if you could share connections, is there somebody you know that has similar interests to this person, has similar goals? Is there somebody that could help them solve a problem that they're currently facing? Share your experiences. So if you've already gone through a similar experience, or if you maybe have more experience in the field already, that you could share some lessons or some advice, that would be really positive. Maybe you have a process in your company that's worked really well that you could share. Resources. So if you've read a really great article recently, if you know about a new tool or a new software that's coming out that could be helpful, like maybe mention that. And then finally, opportunities. So if you're working on a project right now that you see this person being a good fit for, or a future project, you could potentially connect that way. Or maybe you know about a job opening in your company that they'd be a good fit for. Like let them know and it's sure to come back to you in a good karma. So understanding the value that you offer can help you establish and maintain these mutually beneficial relationships. So that's all of my content for networking. I just have some of the resources listed there. Maybe we can put them in the chat. But now I'm going to open it up to you guys. Do you have any questions about job search, networking, anything that I can help with?
Thank you so much, Jessica. That was awesome. Lots of great, valuable tips in there. We did actually receive one question in advance. So the student emailed me asking, and I think, well, I know you touched on this a little bit, but how important is LinkedIn and how do we make the most of it?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is so important now, and I feel like it keeps getting more important. More employers are using it to hire people, to post job opportunities, to post events and resources. So just for that alone, it's really helpful. But then, like I mentioned in an earlier slide, there's so many different ways to connect with people, to find people in companies or in your industry. It's just a really great tool that I think will be helpful in so many ways in your job search.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. So somebody asked about the benefits of LinkedIn Learning as students. Yeah, as a student of Algonquin College, you currently have free access to LinkedIn Learning, which is a platform that offers like hundreds of thousands of videos on different topics. They could be career related, they could be personal related, but like amazing information for free. So I highly recommend taking advantage of it. And if you do have a LinkedIn profile, then anytime you do any sort of certification or course in LinkedIn Learning, you can then plug it into your LinkedIn profile to build it up and show the employer like different skills that you have that might not come across from your current program. So definitely recommend it. Someone else asked me how to get a mentor. That's a really good question. I think that this is like there's some research that's involved in that. So wanting to find somebody that's in your industry is like, or in your like particular area of interest in your industry, reaching out to them. It's just about like reaching out to them and asking, but also like positioning it like as to why they should want to mentor you. So like sharing a bit about yourself, about your experience, lining it up with their goals, I think would be the best way. And then also like there is that relationship building too, right? So like just point blank asking them like might not get you the result you want, but like after you've like connected with this person on multiple occasions or like have connected with them about different things related to the industry, like you're more likely to be successful in asking them to be your mentor. I keep getting private ones. I'm sorry, Michelle. Are we going to have assessment with LinkedIn? I'm not sure I understand that question. Are we going to have assessment with LinkedIn?
Does your team, like, will you look over other, like, if I send you my LinkedIn, can you look over and assess it?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes, we can meet to go over your profile together to help you write up an section. And then we also work on like strategies of how to use it and engage with others. So yes, please come and see us. We'd love to help you. Another private question. How important is your background if you're dealing with someone on Zoom in a work/professional capacity? That's a good question. I usually say, I usually talk about this in terms of interviews, but I usually suggest trying not to have a super distracting background that might take the focus away from you. So if you had like tons of things, like tons of clutter everywhere, like that would be very distracting. So I think it's important to keep it pretty basic. Same as like not wanting distractions. So if you and sometimes it's unavoidable, like maybe you have kids at home that are going to run in, or like animals or pets. Like obviously it'd be nice if they didn't come in and like distract, but so having like a quiet space, having a well-lit space is usually ideal. Any other questions?
If not, I've added the Employment Support Center's email in there, so I'm sure Jessica, that's an okay way. I'll add the Employment Center's LinkedIn in there as well. For anyone who signed in late, the whole session is being recorded and will be added to the Algonquin College AC Always Connected website. So I'll add that. And then you can go past events in there as well. To say thanks so much, Jessica, for taking the time joining us today and presenting on networking. It was awesome. Thank you to everyone who joined us today for our AC Always Connected event. I'd like to run that Support Services social media. I'll add the links to the chat so you can stay in the know about what our upcoming events are. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.